Hello everyone, and today we are going to be adding a new internal hard drive to the PlayStation 5. And now we're going to do this as a guide, how to add the new internal NVMe SSD to the PS5. A couple of things you're going to need. Number one, of course, is a PS5. This one is, yes, it's upside down, but we are going to have to take this panel off, so that's why it's upside down. In case anyone comments, why have you got it upside down? That's why, because we're going to have to remove this panel. If it's the disc version, it'll be the panel with the disc on it, but it will be the sort of panel that normally sits at the bottom, in case you're wondering. We're also going to need a Gen 4 NVMe SSD, and I have chosen the Corsair MP600 series. It is one of the slowest M.2 or NVMe SSDs. It is Gen 4, but it should work. It's got a sequential read of 4950 megabits per second. The minimum requirement that Sony specifies is 4500 megabits per second sequential read, so it should be okay. This one should be. It is kind of towards the minimum spec. We're also going to need a screwdriver as well to remove the screw. I think there's two screws we need to do. We've got the retention screw for the plate and the retention screw for the M.2 screw. Should we point out, we've also got a bunch of screwdriver heads in case they're wrong. So what we're going to do first is remove this cover. Bit of a brute force method of removing it. You got to kind of lift it up at the back here. So you see where my hand is, right at the back corner, away from the disk drive. Kind of lift it up and slide it, kind of thing. It's quite a, there we go, that was quite a thing. So it's just these plastic tangs you'll see here. You've just got to lift them out. There's little holes in the inside of the PS5. We'll put that over there, and that's what your PS5's bottom sort of layer looks like. This is where your fan is right here. You can give that a little bit of a clean. Mine's not too bad. If it's dusty, I would recommend take this cover off maybe once a month, and maybe just, you know, put a bit of an air duster through the fan just to clear it out. This is where our NVMe expansion bay is, and that's the disk drive, in case you're wondering. At the bottom of it. So what we're going to do is remove this little PlayStation screw with our screwdriver. Not too difficult to do this, really, but it is one of the advantages over the Xbox that it has. So that's a little screw here. If you're ever familiar with PlayStation 4 or, you know, PS3, they had a little screw with the PlayStation button logos on it. So we just remove this little piece of metal right here, and that will expose our M.2 slot here. You see the PCB underneath the green PCB. You've got your M.2 slot. I don't know if you can really see it in there. You've also got another screw here at the end here, right in here. You've got another screw there. You need to undo that screw first because that has the standoff first of all. So what we'll do is we'll get that little, it's not really an M.2 screw, it's a black M.2 screw, but we'll just take that screw out, and there is a little ring inside here that acts as a standoff. Oops. This is magnetized. Oh, I think this is yeah, I don't think the magnetic screw, I don't know if yeah, it is magnetized. I've got a thing that can magnetize and demagnetize. So that's your, it's a bit longer than an M.2 screw. Normally an M.2 screw is not that long, so it is a little bit longer. So we'll take that out of there, and we get this little, you see this little ring here. This is the standoff for the M.2 drive. So basically we're going to pop it into, this is an 80 centimeter M.2 drive. There is little holes drilled in the PCB here. You'll see there's one 80, 60, 42 and 30. So that corresponds to the length of your SSD. Now most M.2 SSDs, they will be 80 centimeters long, or 80 millimeters, sorry, not 80 centimeters. That's huge. That's longer than the PS5. 80 millimeters or 8 centimeters long is what they'll be. So what we'll do is we pop ours in the 80, because this is just a standard NVMe. So we'll pop it into there, the little 80 slot. Just pop it in there. Right, the 110 is at the end. It's always at the end by default. But generally, I think this is just an 80. We'll find out when we open it up. So we'll open up our SSD as the next stage. It's screwed in by something. It's held in by tape. See, it's held in by tape. If I've got long enough nails to do this. Let's see if we can get it out another way. I should have brought a knife. That should have been another thing I should have said. A knife or a pair of scissors. There we go. We're in. We're in. So we've ripped it a little bit. Wow, this is kind of... Oh, there it is. There's little tabs there. We've got to pull it. This is the hardest part of this, is getting the SSD out of the box without ruining the box. Brute forcing it. Oh, there we go. There's our instruction manual. Now, Sony do recommend a SSD with a heatsink. So I bought one with a heatsink pre-installed. There you see it. There's the little Corsair MP600. Comes with its heatsink installed. Again, it's one of the cheapest NVMe SSDs. But yeah, this should do the job. We might have difficulty getting this plate back on. That may be some difficulty because of the size of the heatsink here. So there, you'll see at the end of the SSD, there's a little notch right there. You'll see that. So we just line that up. It's kind of like RAM. Like, you can't put RAM. It's not even. It's kind of asymmetrical. So you see the little notches. If it's an NVMe drive, it will have one notch in it. If it is an M.2 SATA drive, it will have two notches in it. There's one at the other end as well. So just bear in mind that this needs to be a Gen 4 NVMe SSD that goes into your PS5. So what we do is there's a little notch on the connector as well. I'll show you that just now. You don't know if you can see that in there, but there is a little notch just in there. Again, I don't know if we can see that. If we can angle that better, you'll see that in there. So we're just going to line it up with the little notch. There, it is a standard 80. Yes, it is an 80mm SSD. So we just line it up in there with the little notch and then just push it down. And as you can see, it does actually line up with the 80mm thing there, and it'll lift up. That's why we're going to pop the screw back in there, and I don't think we're going to get that closed, to be honest with you. So it is an 80 SSD. Again, most NVMe SSDs will be 80s. Again, we take our little screw that we took out of that little ring, not the PlayStation logo screw. So that is the difference between them. One has the PlayStation logo on it and one does not, and we just pop it back into the little ring that we took out, and we will just screw it down simply like this. And it's fairly straightforward to install. Again, most of these will be 80mm. If you buy one that's shorter, it'll just check the length of it when you buy it, because 8 centimeters, 80mm. And then we just screw it in, not too tight. Struggling to get the screwdriver out there. It was wanting to stick in there. So there we go. That is our... There we go. There's our SSD installed. Just give it a little push. It shouldn't move. So it should be at a right angle. Just make sure that you put that little standoff in there, because you don't want to be screwing it directly into the motherboard, into the PCB. Just because it won't sit at the correct angle. And then what will happen is it will... put stress on the connector here. So let's see if this will... we can put this back on now. It will go back on. Yeah, look, it will go back on. Look, it's a bit of a... It's sticking out a little bit. Like, it's sticking out a little bit, but it will screw in. So it's meant to go in like this. But that's how it goes with the heatsink. Yeah, but it will still screw back down. We don't really need this. This isn't really necessary. Some people say it will keep dust out, but if you look at how the airflow model works, like these are intake airflow, you're getting air directly onto that heatsink there. So it shouldn't really matter, the heat coming off it, because will it gather dust? Yes, probably, but what we'll do is we'll pop this in here and we can screw it back on. I don't think it's not going to make a huge difference. I'm not going to screw it down tight. I'll just pop that back in there. It does screw back down, so it's not, as long as it doesn't rattle around in there. Let's see how this works out for us. The heatsink is too big. I don't think it really does anything in terms of heat spreading, but yeah, look, it doesn't go, it's not straight, but it's not going to rattle. As long as it's not going to rattle or anything. Yeah, maybe it might vibrate. If it's annoying, what I'll do is I'll take it off and I'll screw that in a bit. Let's see if we can get it in a bit tighter. There you go. So with this heatsink, it just doesn't fit. It is sitting at the wrong angle, but it doesn't affect the performance of the system or the drive. If anything, it's going to get airflow under there now, so maybe a bit better for airflow. Again, we could take the heatsink off and fit another heatsink, but I don't really see the point in that. So we just need a Phillips head screwdriver, I should point out as well. But I don't think it should affect anything. We'll get this booted up and we'll show you how to... We'll see if it's recognised and we'll see if it passes the speed test first of all. We should put this back on actually. We should put the back cover back on again. Line it up with the drive and we should... Nice click in place. There we go. Nice click and it's there. It's all in place and it should be good to go. Again, we didn't fit the screw cover back on correctly, but it should provide it with a little bit more metal to metal contact. We could have maybe put some heat strips or what are they called? Thermal pads, that's what they're called, on there. So we'll go into the PS5 now and we'll take a look and see what we get. Okay, so we're back in the PS5 and this is what happens when you boot up the PS5 for the first time. So it detects your M.2 SSD. It does ask you if you want to press the PlayStation button, format M.2 SSD. We'll do that and it says it's formatting. It didn't give us a speed test on it though, but I take it it's okay. Read speed is 56. 22, so it's faster than the rated read speed and it's fine. If you experience problems, and try installing it in the console storage. So here we go. SSD has been formatted. It'll be in the file installation. Again, to safely remove it, you need to obviously turn off. You don't do it while the PS5's on. So it has detected our new M.2 drive. I haven't plugged in the USB hard drive either, so we'll fire this up here and we'll go... turn that off. Couldn't think. I don't care about Assassin's Creed. Go away. Stupid message. Right, so we just head on over to our storage and it will be here. There it is. USB extended storage. There it is. 1 terabyte free space. There we go. The Force MP600. It does actually recognize it correctly, which is nice. There's our console storage and there is our M.2 SSD storage or USB. I've not plugged in the drive, so it's not there. So there you go. You can see, well, it shows 3 hard drives. We can also decide where PS5 games go. We can decide if it wants to go to console storage, or we can say it can go to the M.2 SSD storage. So it does work well. We'll try out a game and make sure that it works fine. Okay, so we'll try, for lack of anything better, we'll try Kena Bridge of Spirits to move across, because it is quite a small file size after all. If we look at, yeah, controls quite small, but we'll go for, yeah, something small to transfer across. We'll hit move. We want to move it to the M.2 storage, and it shouldn't take very long to move across. It is 2 Gen 4. This is a test of the write speed more than anything, and there you can see a few seconds just to transfer it across to the internal SSD. There you go. Can't move that gamer up. That's PS4 data. That's why. There you go. There you see it there. 17 gigabytes. We actually got a terabyte of space. Actually, it's a bit weird seeing a terabyte. Normally you get like 931 gigabytes. So let's go fire up Kena Bridge of Spirits then and see if we notice any difference, really. Shouldn't really be, it needs an update. There's more tests for the SSD then. So we'll hit continue and see how fast it loads. Yeah, loads pretty well. Looks pretty good. This is one of the cutest games ever made, really. It's like a Pixar game. We'll do a video on this. I've got a video on this. I had a video on this at release. I think this is performance mode it's running in. Is it running in, yeah, performance mode. So 60 FPS, you got your little rot dudes here, they're called. Some of them had hats on. Where's the one with the hat? Where did the one with the hat go? You can like sit down and everything in this game. This game is awesome. You can sit down. You can have them dance. Right, dance for me. Dance, my minion. Look at him jumping on my head, doing a little dance. There you go. And they all copy him. Look at that. Tell me that isn't the cutest thing. So there was no appreciable difference as far as I can see. We'd have to run timers and whatnot. So Kenna Bridge of Spirits loaded up instantly on one of the slowest M.2 SSDs there, and yeah. So even with the thing not being installed correctly, the little hatch thing not being installed correctly, it does still work, which is nice. It's nice to see that it does still work there. But anyway, that is all for this video, so thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.